Delighted to be joined by Macaulay and Mcgowan. How you doing, mate? You all good?
Yeah, I'm great, mate. How are you?
Yeah, no, not bad, thanks, mate. All good. How's the lockdown? How's that treating you? How you finding it?
Um, I haven't been much different, really.
No,
Yeah, well, when did we go in lockdown last year, was it?
March, wasn't it? Middle of March, I think.
Yeah, I've worked all the way through. Won't really go out much anyway, so yeah, it's pretty much been the same.
It's the same.
Just
What?
working. Hopefully I got fight, so yeah,
Yeah,
we're
no,
happy
that's
about that.
it. What do you do actually, like, as your work as such, like, on a day to day? What is it that you do?
I work for a building company. We just do extensions and stuff. I'm not like a bricklayer or anything.
Right.
I never listened to my nana or my granddad. He said, "Get yourself a trade." I thought I'm just gonna be a boxer, but then I thought,
No, that's it.
yeah, job. I'm just on the labour now, labouring for my mate. So
Yeah, no, that's all right, though, isn't it? How you finding it with like the kids? Are they okay? How are they finding it? I suppose they're
yeah,
younger anyway, aren't they?
well, it's my missus that's finding it hard, and she's got all day, and my oldest, she's 4. She should be at nursery, but she's nuts. So
Right.
it's hard for her, but it's what
Yeah.
it is.
No, that's it. You're watching. What is it? You're watching Bridgerton, is it? Anyway, on Netflix. See you go on about it on Netflix. On Twitter.
I finished it now.
You finished it.
I went into it at first. The story behind why I got into it, because what happened with my son and that, like
Hmm.
for some reason they say like it's hard to get into things
Right.
after what's happened. We didn't watch anything for like a year. We used to watch like box sets of everything, but we
Okay.
couldn't get into nothing interested us. So then she got into that Bridgerton, and I thought I'm not flipping that. And then
Yeah.
but then it was the first thing Missy had got into since everything that happened. So I thought I'll give it a go. And to be honest, it was belting. To be fair,
It's all
I
right.
wouldn't. If you're a single lad, I wouldn't say yeah, go and watch it.
If you
Yeah,
not if I'm watching it by myself, maybe if I'm with my girlfriend, it's not too bad. No.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
Perfect. Obviously, I usually start off with like your early side of things, like your early life. But I do actually want to go on to your love for City. Obviously, massive football fan, of course.
Yeah,
Obviously, we've got the video that's going like viral. It's done the, I suppose, rounds in that kind of respect where you're asking for the City score, and I don't think you're ever gonna hear the end of that one, to be honest. Just a quick
yeah,
story, by the way. Like I said, I'm not a City fan. The reason why I got it, can you remember when you was I've got it because my mate's United actually, just to wind him
yeah.
up, to be honest with you. Can you remember when you was 2-0 up? I think you could win the league at the Etihad. Can you remember?
Yeah.
He was 2 up and
Fucking remember it, mate. I was ready to put in. I was ready to lose it all, mate. See, was that when we are going to win the league against them?
Yeah, that's it. You was gonna win, and then Pogba scored 2, I think. Did he score 2?
Yeah, mate. Half time. That was it for me. I would.
Yeah.
If we won the league that day, I don't think I'd have. I don't think I'd be living in this house with my missus and that. I think I would be kicked out. But I thank Pogba for that. We still won the league, but Pogba
Yeah,
saved
exactly.
my relationship.
Yeah, exactly. No, well, basically, my mate's United, I say, like, massive United fan, like, really passionate and all sorts. I'm Arsenal myself, but to be honest, I don't really get into it to the point of where it, like, be affecting my day. Do you get what I mean? Whereas him, it would. And I found it quite funny. And we used to work down at a local cinema. So we were working down there, and he was working on Sunday. I'm at home. I'm watching it. So I thought, I've already bought it prepared. I've been preparing for it because I think you could have won it before that as well. I've been preparing
Yeah.
for it. I thought this is ideal. Put it on, about to shoot down at half time. Pogba scores. I think, right, I'm just going to have to leave it a little bit. Left it for a little bit, and he scored another. I'm thinking, thank God I didn't turn up down there. But yeah, I know you're massive. Have you always been City? Because I know it's a bit of a silly question to ask, but I know that some people don't always get into it till they're a little bit older or.
Yeah, I think my first memory of it, like obviously you're playing footy now. I must have been no more than 5. Like I don't really remember anything about my life before I was 5. But my uncle's a United fan, and
Right.
he gave my mum a United top to give to me, and I was like, oh my god, a football top. I never wore anything like that. And then my dad was doing his car and he put oil. He got oil. I was like MCFC over it, and I thought, wow, that's an expensive football top. You know what I mean? And he just put oil all over it with
Right.
MCFC, and that was it. Then I was a City fan pretty much.
City
And
from there on.
yeah, and then my next door neighbour, he took me to my first City game. and that was that main road. And then I went to a few there, and don't get me wrong, I didn't go to every game as a kid. Like, if your parents don't go, you don't go because you're a kid at the end
No,
of the
exactly.
day.
Yeah,
So,
of course.
I just like catch up on it, watch on the TV or put in final score. Like when City crap, you wouldn't see him on the TV on they watch final score BBC, and went to a few games. But then there's lads that I know who would die hard. You know what I mean? Like home and away. Like they live for City. Where I love City, but I understand I've got boxing, I've got a job, I've got a family, so.
That's it. Different priorities, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, when I got older, I started going to the games a lot more a few years back, and I loved it too much. It became detrimental to me. So
really?
I staying it in for a bit.
I was going to say, I was going to ask whether you go to many games and that kind of thing. So you're used to it, and maybe not as much. Obviously can't at the minute anyway, I suppose.
When I was a kid, I went with my next door neighbour, and then I went with my best mate a few times, and then. I was boxing a lot, when I was younger, like especially on weekends in championships and stuff. So that was like the priority. I was an armchair sport. I was a young kid at the end of the day. Like I can't get money out of nowhere and go.
No, of course.
And then I was a bit old enough when I started working and stuff, and I had a bit of free time. I started going, and then got a bit detrimental. But I had a season ticket by this point, so like I was still going. And then when I thought, right, I'm gonna have to stop going because. If I go, mate, I'm making a fucking day of it, and it got too much. So I just give it to my father-in-law, the season ticket, and he'd use it, and then I'd go every so often, but no one's been for the last however long now. So
yeah, that's it. I suppose it's quite easy to get tickets anyway because it's always empty, eh? I'll just go on to like your early life then. So in regards to boxing, how did that come about? How did you get into the gym, I suppose, to begin with?
So my dad's a boxer. Well, was an amateur boxer.
Okay.
I don't know if he's any good or out, but he always used to tell me. So I bought this like bag from B&M. I was only like 6, and I had these black like shorts, and I had this bag from B&M. And it had like POW on the gloves or something, and I used to hang it. I hung it off a light bulb. This is how stupid it was. And I hung it off a light bulb. He's smacking this bag, he's punching it around. And my dad was like, "What the flipping hell are you doing?" Like it's hanging off a light bulb with the electrics. Well, I used to mire him, like saying, "Oh, take me," and he never would. And then we moved from a place from Newhall Green into Bench Hill, still Wigan Shore. Just, I'd say Bench Hill's a bit rougher, to be honest.
Right, okay.
And Bench Hill's where no one wants to live. And then, so we moved there. My mate on my road, got a few mates, and he said, "Oh, I'll go to Jimmy Egan's." And my dad said, "That's my old coach." And they got talking, and I said, "Oh, can I go?" So then his dad, Nathan, he was called, and then his dad, Carl, they started taking me, and then they stopped going. Nathan, I still remember it now. I was 8 years old, or I was 9 by this point. He'd stopped going, and Mum said, and I said, "I'm not going gym tonight." Mum said, "Why?" I went, "Nathan's not going anymore, so I can't go." And she just looked at me and she said, "If you really want to go and you want to give it all, I'll make sure." It was only a mile away anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Get there Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I made that, and then she was like my biggest sport ever.
Oh, really?
She made sure I was always in the gym, like, and up and down the country. So, yeah.
So it's all for your mum then, to thank, I suppose. I mean, what age was that at then? So you mentioned, was it 8 or was it like just before that where you started as such?
I went in the gym when I was 8, but like when I got that punch bag and all that, I was like 6, 7. So I've been pestering for a few years. It's just by chance the road that we moved on to. A lad went to the boxing gym, and then a couple of years later, the actual gym moved to the bottom of my road. So, yeah.
That was ideal.
So,
weren't too bad at all. It's meant to be. I think I remember you, I don't know whether I am right, but I think I remember you saying in like a previous interview about where you used to bunk off school to go and watch, was it Tyson Fury was training at the time? Used to go watch him and obviously look through the windows and that sort of thing. I mean, what was that like? Because obviously he's now like a massive star, of course. I think at the time he was 17, I think you said.
Yeah, I think so. He was already there when I went, when I was like 8 and 9. I think he was like 14 at the time. I don't know what the age difference is, but he was like 14, 15. Right. And then when the gym moved to the bottom of my road, he was getting a bit more he was starting to do better. I think it progressed pretty quick. I think within the first 10 fights, I think he'd been to the World Amateur Championships and all that as a junior. So I'd be off school for whatever reason. I don't know why, but then like
just a coincidence.
Yeah, I could poke my head out the window and I could look down the bottom of the road and I'd see like I could see him outside the gym, or I could see like big cars, a load of cars there. And I thought, oh, Tyson's training. So I just run down. I should have joined in really and got extra training. But I just watched and just listened to him, and he was just one of the lads. And you know what, right? You know all that mental health stuff. Looking back, you could see it coming. Like,
really,
not even joking. Like, he was that way. He was that way from a young age. He'd come in the gym one day, he'd be like, I'm going to be the best. And he'd put everything into it. And then the next day, he'd come in and he's like, I'm shit, I'm no good. One time, right, he's doing sit-ups and he said to the coach, he went, I'm going to go to college. I'm gutted I didn't have a high school education. I'm going to try and go into college. I mean, honestly, he's so flippant, but that was him. And he stayed to that, and that's exactly him.
Exactly. Stayed the same, hasn't he? From what you're describing there, anyway. I mean, how did you get on with the amateurs yourself? How did you find that, and what was like the record like and that side of things? Obviously, you might not know exact numbers and that sort of thing, but I mean, just as a guide.
I had 60 fights. I won 40 odd of them. I won the junior ABAs. I got to junior ABA final. I boxed for England in the Tri-Nations, and for years I was like a semi-finalist, and I was like, I just need to get into a final. Then the first year of the junior ABAs, I won them, and then I got to the final next year, and I boxed for England both them years. And then the year later, I boxed Josh Kelly as a youth, got beat off him, and then I kind of like I don't know what I did from that point. I was in the gym, I was always fighting, but I think it got to that age where I knew I weren't too old enough strong enough to be a senior, but like I had nothing else to do. So I was still training, still like having the odd fights here and then, and eventually I went pro.
That's it. Was it always your intention to go pro? Because I know that you said from a young age, that's what you said you was going to do, and your nan and granddad used to say to you about getting a trade and that sort of stuff, and you just said, I'm just going to be a boxer. I mean, was that always your intention to do that anyway?
You know what, right? I don't really know. I knew, you know what? There was times, as a kid, I'd think training was that hard as a kid, and like felt like I was sacrificing so much. Even though I was a kid and I was going to school and I was coming home, chilling and going gym, I felt like I was sacrificing so much, like not being out with mates or whatever. And I thought, I'm not going to do this forever. Like, I won't do this forever. You know, like I mean, like when I'm a bit older, I probably won't box. But then I don't know. I think I was good at it, so I just had this. I don't know. I've had a love-hate relationship with boxing since I was a little kid, I think.
Got ya.
Yeah. Some days I was like, I'm going to be champion of the world. The next day, he was like, I'm not even asked about it. The next day, he'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna try and stay an amateur for as long as possible and do that. And then I think after I got to about 18 and like they'd already got like the GB development, the GB podium, and they were already looking for the next 4 years, you know, to get to the Olympics. So I thought, well, I'm not going to be on that now. So I just thought, I'm just going to go pro. And I shouldn't have really gone pro that early. I went pro at 18, had my debut when I was 18. And I think, look back, I should have probably stayed amateur and just got loads of senior fights, try and win the ABAs and stuff. I never even entered the senior ABAs, which is stupid, really. But hey ho.
Way it goes, I suppose, isn't it? Everything happens for a reason. Just talking about like your last outing, more so your experience of that. I mean, being in the matchroom bubble. I mean, how did you find that? What was that like?
Oh, it was great. Yeah.
Good fun.
Yeah, it was amazing. You just get comfortable with everyone around you, and like even if on the first day you'd be like, wow, this is like, look, everyone's around. You have to get comfortable with it. So it was fun. Like I always when I watch boxing, I watch the matchroom shows. I think that's big time boxing. So that I was on that stage with that sort of thing. I was buzzing, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, to be fair, he was probably on the biggest card of the year, especially Matchroom's biggest card, 100%. Even, as I say, even probably the biggest card of the year, potentially. I know you had the Wilder and Fury as well, but definitely up there, 100%. I mean, you had was it the Florian Marco situation as well?
Yeah.
I mean, we had it going off on Twitter before it was even happening, sort of thing. You could get like a running commentary of that. I mean, what was that all about anyway?
Well, on the Tuesday when I arrived at the bubble, he, I had just did an interview late at night. Well, like you said, a bit of a, I don't know, conference call. Not many people were waiting to ask me questions. So it was just like, well, they're asking, and I was just like making it known. Let's say like I'm gonna beat Kieran Conway, and I know it's a bit heavier than I'd like to be, but when I go down to the weight that I want to go forward in, I want to fight at welterweight, and then I just called Florian Markey with Gobby Midget, but it didn't get released till the Thursday, and
Right. Okay.
and I seen that like normally you get a notification if you retweeted it or whatever, and then I just seen this quote tweet. It said "say to my face," so I thought. Well, he's in the same hotel room, like not hotel room, hotel. So I thought, well, all right then. So I said, "What's your room number?" And I thought, not going to give his room number on a thing yet, but he did. So I thought, well, it's on now. I was naked in bed, like I thought, right, so I got my
Let's get
stuff on.
changed.
So I made a bit of a thing of it. I remember like when Curtis Woodhouse was searching for that guy all over the country, and he was like updating it. I thought it's only in the room below, but I thought I'll just keep it interesting. But I didn't think that anyone was going to be there. I thought I thought he was going to be in his room, and I thought I'm going to have to knock on it, and like we're going to have a conversation on our own. But I walked around the corner, and there was like loads of people. Well, Coogan was there. There's a few people there, and security was already there. So,
right. So they must have seen it on Twitter as well, I assume.
Eddie Hearn tweeted it saying security, didn't they? And then apparently they got radio through and stuff. So before he even got to his door, the security guard was already pushing me back. But you see the same security guards throughout the week. So you can't start being a dick with the security guard because you've your mate all week getting the lifts down for you and all that and making sure you sound. You can't start being a dick with him. So
yeah, exactly.
Just that what he was saying and like kind of a bit of a crap ending really, but I love to fight. So.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, who knows what the future holds? I mean, did you ever speak to like Kieran like Conway throughout the week at all? I know that you was fighting him, but being in that bubble, was there ever at a point where you was exchanging words or anything like that at all?
No, there's a time where I was in the games room where I was like I was playing darts thinking he was on the games or whatever. But
throw the dart at his head.
Yeah, I should have asked him for a game of table tennis. No, dude. I think after the press conference, when that was like the first time we spoke to each other or been like said anything to each other, I think it was a bit more comfortable around each other then. Like not so much like where you spoke to each other, but you didn't mind if he was in the same room or there was no like nervous energy around him. Well, that's what I felt anyway. And like, I think he walked past me at some stage and you just kind of nod your head a bit, but
you just have to get used to it anyway, didn't you? That's your environment full of week, and like you say, you just grow within that. I want to come on to like your children. So I understand you've got two. So Florence, I believe, and then you've got Albie as well. So what are their ages? So you mentioned Florence 4, and then how old's Albie now?
Yeah, he's 1.
1, okay. So I know that I mentioned to you about potentially like just getting a bit of awareness out there with Albie's condition. So it's HIE. So if you don't mind just explaining what that is in basic terms, I suppose, Albie's condition, please.
So it's hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy.
Right, okay.
Just get it in there. Sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it makes you sound clever, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. No, it basically means oxygen. He had oxygen deprivation, which obviously means brain damage. So he had a brain damage at birth. He was born what they call a poor condition, not breathing, floppy, pale. Basically pretty much fucking not. And then that's it. So
that's
you don't know when you see like lads with cerebral palsy and stuff. That's like the biggest thing that comes from it. But it was called moderate, so his oxygen deprivation for a long time. Basically, it happened because my missus had a placenta abruption. There's a placenta ripped apart from the baby, meaning the oxygen supply was cut off, and she had bleeding, and she knew that she was feeling a pain that she shouldn't have. So yeah, so pretty much they were rushed down to theatre, and it was an emergency C-section. Yeah, and
Yeah, that's
yeah,
it.
it was tough. It was tough. He had to go to another hospital for therapeutic cooling. It's called. It means his body temperature gets has to be pretty much brought down to like 33 degrees, which don't sound a lot considering that we sit about 37, but it's like touching an ice cold baby.
Right. Okay.
It preserve any more brain damage pretty much. So yeah, that's where we're at.
So did your missus have him like early as such as well? Was it like early or was it due date anyway?
Yeah, no. She water's broken the due date, and she went in for induction the
Right.
day later. Yeah, it was
Okay.
all bang health. He come out. He's like £8.10, so it would have been a bit of a shift to get him out anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Oh, cool. No,
yeah,
I just wanted to touch on that really, obviously, just to raise a little bit of awareness of it. I mean, linking back to your love of City, I know, well, what sticks in my mind as well, like the David Silva kind of thing. I know that he had his, or not him, but obviously his wife had the baby, I suppose, with like 26 weeks, 25 weeks prematurely
yeah,
as well. And I know that he was going through a tough time at the time as well. I mean, do you take that inspiration from that, obviously, with
yeah,
your love of City?
yeah. Yeah, we're in the middle of a city. Yeah, it's great that he's one of our, in my eyes, one of our best ever players. But
Mm.
even if he weren't, and I read his story, like I think he said something that just made him reassess what's important and stuff. So I remember reading the quote and I thought, wow, yeah, he's banged on. Yeah, he
Mm.
is banged on. I think his son was premature. That's the thing with HIE. Your son or daughter is normally the biggest baby in an ICU unit. You feel out of place, like you go and everyone asks you, is it premature? Is it because of premature? And you're like, you have to explain, and no one really knows.
Mm.
So it was. So you feel alone, and then you emerged into this bloody world that of medical terms and everything else. It's a crazy place.
Yeah,
So
that's it. I think it just puts stuff into perspective, like what you're saying with like the David Silver kind of thing, doesn't it? And it just like reinforces, I suppose, what is important and that side of things as well. I mean, how's Florence affected by it all? Because I understand that potentially you're going to be giving more time to Albie and that side of things because of his condition. So I mean, how does she fare with all that? How does she deal with it?
she's amazing. Yeah, she's. I don't know. She's got my daughter. I must put her on a pedestal, but yeah, she's a little shit. And like I'd say, out the two of them, she's more boyish. Like he's a little ass, but yeah, she's been unbelievable. Yeah,
Mm.
she just took it right. Obviously, she's only young, so she don't know the full extent of what actually happened, but she knows that something didn't go right, sort of thing. But
Yeah, I'm with you.
we saw like he just cracks on. He's walking now, so like he's doing everything a baby should do, sort of thing. So
Yeah, no, that's
no,
it.
or whatever. But
No, that's good. I know that you put sometimes that you put like the updates, didn't you, on Twitter and that side of things. So what is it that he has to go through? Is it like a therapy almost? What is
yeah,
that like routine like?
so yeah, he had physio, but so we had the HIE, but then a few months after he got diagnosed with I can't pronounce it, craniosiosis or something.
All
It
right.
means the all plates in your head are forced to come together too early. So his head was a funny shape, and he had to have a nerve. I don't talk about it enough because it's secondary to us, but it is a pretty big operation. He had to have a neurosurgery at Alderhay Hospital.
Right.
So yeah, so he's been through a lot. But anyway, he had the physio anyway because looking out for signs of cerebral palsy and muscle stiffness and stuff. And yeah, so he's actually been discharged from physio because he's doing that good.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
good
so
news.
at the start of the year, we took him, and she said, and he was walking and stuff, or like shuffling along, whatever he's doing, and she said, yeah, he can be discharged. So that was a massive day. Yeah, it was.
Excellent.
It's bigger than I let on. Like me and my missus were fucking over the moon. So
Yeah,
yeah,
understandably.
yeah,
Um,
he's just cracked like a normal baby, and we're just like, wow, it's like, what the hell have we been through? And he's just going, like, what the hell, got nothing to show for it. He's just
no,
not any other. I want to say normal, but like any other baby, you
yeah.
go through developments.
No, that's it. No, that's obviously really good. and obviously may that process continue. I just want to finish off really just by going through, this is how I've been ending every video, just by going through a few potential fights which could happen, I suppose, in 2021. Just get your outlook on it and then go from there, really. I mean, how would you see Joshua and Fury going? I mean, I know that you've probably got loyalty towards Fury anyway, but would you still stick with Fury regardless of the loyalty side of things, more so with just the skill set?
Yeah, I would say Fury. Like, he's got this something about him where, I don't know, there is something about him where he can just get a win anywhere. But Joshua, like, he's correct, isn't he? Like, I don't know, would Fury be able to do all that, but in awkward style, and would Joshua just go straight through him? I'm going to go Fury. I don't think it's as clean cut as some would give Fury. People that are giving it Fury seem to be giving it in by a whitewash, or like even like giving it by Joshua. So think, yeah, Joshua, it's a whitewash, but I think it's a really close fight. I'm still going to go with Fury, but you know,
no, that's it. I think it's one of them where you can see it going both ways, can't you? In a way, if Joshua comes out straight away and he could potentially go through him, you don't know how Fury would deal with that. But then equally as well, obviously, Tyson Fury is just unbelievable, isn't he? With his ring movement, his footwork, all that side of things. So his boxing ability, I think he'd probably outbox Joshua in that respect. But then obviously the other side of it as well, Joshua's got that power. I mean, obviously Joshua did show his potential when obviously I think he's matured a little bit as well with his boxing. Like when he's fought Pulev last, is much. I suppose it's more calculated, isn't it? From that side of things. So yeah, no, interesting fight, and just hope that I suppose we get to see it. That's the main thing.
I
don't have no complaints.
Happens as long as it happens.
No, neither. I don't really care where it is. Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, to be honest with you, it would have been nice to be in the UK, but it's not going to be, like, given the situation. We're not going to have fans, but I don't think we're going to even have them back this year, or not to full capacity anyway. I can't see that happening. So I think realistically, not being funny, they're getting double the money as well. So it's hard. You've got to look at it from their point of view. Okay, it's like a legacy side of things, but you've got to weigh it up from their point of view as well. But as long as we get to see it, that's the main thing. What about Ryan Garcia versus Tank? I know that he's just recently come through Luke Campbell, which, to be honest with you, I didn't think he was going to. I thought Luke Campbell was going to beat him. But I mean, how would you see that one going? Do you think it's a step too early for Garcia, or?
I don't think it's a step too early. I think he should be fighting Tank, but in my personal opinion, I think Tank would smash him. I think Garcia v Haney would be a good fight. You should all be fighting each other, just because I think Garcia, I think can't get out. Davis would smash Garcia. Doesn't mean that he shouldn't fight. I think they should all fight each other. It's just, in my personal opinion, I think Tank's the best of them.
Yeah, that's
I think Lopez is going to hang about lightweight. He can't do. He's massive. So I think Lopez will probably go up. But you got Shakur there. You know, I think Garcia v Tank is the one. But I think Tank beat. But even if Tank does beat me, don't mean Garcia's a fraud or anything like that. It just means that Tank's better.
Yeah, exactly. No, most definitely. I mean, it's a very exciting division, to be fair. And I think there's too much of that stigma about their O going as well. Like you say, just fight and just create a legacy that way. It's much more exciting for everyone. And obviously they get massive paydays as well, to be fair.
I look back to October when I had an O. I was undefeated in October. I look back at like back when I was undefeated.
Yeah, that's it. And then what about if Billy Joe Saunders? I mean, potentially there's talk of him taking out a 2-fight deal, one with Andrade. If he gets through Andrade in February, there's obviously talk of the Canelo fight. I mean, do you feel like, I'm not saying that he'd necessarily win, but do you feel like he'd trouble Canelo most at that weight or within the middleweight divisions?
I think looking at all the opponents, well, who would Canelo fight other than Billy Joe? I don't know. Maybe Andrade himself. I think Andrade and Billy Joe would both give Canelo a few things to worry about, but I think Canelo's too patient. Like, I think Billy Joe would get frustrated that he's not landing on Canelo the way he wants to do. They start committing, and Canelo would, because people think that Canelo's just going to come forward and stuff, but he's making people miss. He's countering. He's making you look silly. He's using no energy but he's still pushing you back. So I don't know if he'll trouble him or not. It depends what Billy Joe turns up. If it's Billy Joe would need a fight, I think. Well, I don't know. Do you think ideally would get a fight in before? He seems to have a lot of times of inactivity, whereas Canelo just on the ball all the time.
Yeah,
a bit like Mayweather was always in the gym, always training. I think Canelo's just really took that same mindset.
Just the exact same. Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I think if Andrade versus Billy Joe was happening, I think it makes sense for the winner, I suppose, to go on and face Canelo and do it that way. But, we'll see. I mean, I know that you mentioned it earlier as well. If you was to if you got the opportunity at Florian Marco, how does it go?
I'd beat him pretty easy.
Beat him, yeah?
Yeah, I'd beat him easy. People because I've come off 2 losses and that. People are like, oh, you want a warm-up fight before Marco. A warm-up fight? Marco's a step down from the last 2 fights that I've had. So Marco is the warm-up fight. Marco's the warm-up fight for better fighters. So that's how I see it. I see, I'm not going to go back down. If I was going to have a fight in between, it'd be an 8-rounder anyway. So I'd do it. So I'd happily fight him over 8 or 10 rounds and beat him. He'd be classed as my warm-up fight to then go and fight better people. I'd say anyway. Don't really rate him that much. So I mean, I can't go off his last performance because my last 2 performances haven't been great either. So I can't say all that. But just looking at him, I mean, he's doing his thing in it, but I don't think he's that good.
Yeah, no, that's it. Well, hopefully we'll see it, whether that's this year, next year, or whenever. Hopefully you get your shot anyway. And I think it'd be a good fight to watch. Obviously, both of you are fairly popular, I suppose, now. Obviously, he's making his name. You're popular yourself, obviously, for obvious reasons. But yeah, basically, no, I'm joking. But I mean, other than that, was there anything which you wanted to add? Anything to fans, sponsors, anything like that at all, mate?
Nah.
You're good.
Yeah, nah, I'm sound. It's boxing in it. Just gonna keep going and hopefully get some good fights in and crack on. I don't stress too much about it. I'm not stressing. I don't stress too much about it. Fights coming and fights going, or this happening and that happening. You just go about your business day to day, and I'll be there when the phone rings to fight. Not meaning the phone rings, I've got to wait for the phone to ring for a fight, but when MTK get in touch and say, there's a show there, or you've been offered this, and I'll be ready to take it. But I don't stress too much. Just be happy. Just be happy day to day.
That's the main thing. No, I mean, as I say, thanks for joining me. Much appreciated. Just for giving myself a bit of time to go through a few bits. But I mean, good luck for 2021. Hope, obviously, wish all your family the best as well. And hopefully we'll speak to you soon. All right, mate?
Yeah, of course. Anytime more.
Cheers. Lovely. Thanks for calling. I'll speak to you soon, mate. All right. See you later. Bye, mate. Bye, bye. Bye, bye.